Hello, 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 and welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to talk about the religious aspect of the whole Danaya Jackson and Derrick Jackson situation. Now, I want to do this coming from the Christian umbrella of faith because I am a Christian. They fall under the same umbrella somewhere, not necessarily in the same place, but um, and I see debates going on in different social media platforms where people are falling on two sides of the fence when it comes to Christianity or Christians, where, hey, God is all you need to deliver you from your mental instability or to deliver you from your past traumas or to deliver or to address any mental um, issues that you may have, mental health issues that you may have. And I do believe that God definitely is, should be your foundation as a Christian in everything, every aspect of life. And that God ultimately does deliver us from our past traumas or can deliver us from certain things. But some things need additional help. Um, there are so many different, mental illnesses, just not really, I'm not speaking about Danaya Jackson right now. I'm just speaking in general about mental illness. Okay. If you look at different mental illnesses that maybe require medication because there's a chemical imbalance, like there's literally a chemical imbalance in your brain where you might need a medication to balance you out. And if you don't get that, you might go around physically harming people, or you might go around fall into a deep depression, and you might not get off your couch for weeks because you're severely bipolar. There are medical advancements that are in place that created these medications to help people function in society. That's why there's so many doctors and lawyers and accountants and different people that can function in society with bipolar disorder. There are schizophrenics that are functioning in society because of medical advances and because of medications that have been developed, and they're not sitting in an insane asylum, which is what would have happened to them back in the day. Just been tucked away in an insane asylum. Like, there's people among us that have various disorders that have went to get help, that are in therapy, that are on different medications that need to be medicated. I know this firsthand. I've seen it firsthand. When they go off their medication, they're off the rails. It's not good for them to be off their medication, and it's kind of dangerous for us to say, well, God will heal you of this or that. Don't take your medication, which I had a situation with a person very close to me. I had that happen where somebody that was very God fearing took them off their medication, and this person went into psychosis. And it ended up very bad. This person ended up in jail. It was terrible. Like, I look at mental health the same way I look at a disease in the body. If you have diabetes, would you tell a diabetic don't take your insulin because God's going to heal you of your diabetes? It's the same thing if you have bipolar disorder or schizophrenia or whatever other myriad of disorders you might have, severe depression, whatever the case is. You wouldn't tell a diabetic not to take their insulin. They could lose a limb. They could lose their life if their sugar's not regulated. Now, I am also balanced in this view because I do believe in controlling certain illnesses with your diet. Like, literally, I stopped eating meat 3 years ago to control my cholesterol levels. Like, I refuse to take cholesterol pills. At the same time, there are certain medications I have to take. I have really, really high blood pressure. I'm trying to get that under control. And even though I've literally gone onto a vegan diet, part-time pescatarian, I still don't have that under control. That's partly due to the fact I allow myself to get stressed out. I'm still trying to work that out. And I pray to God. I ask for deliverance. And it's not that I'm doing anything wrong, that God hasn't delivered me from my high blood pressure, but It's just something that's literally hereditary. I've done all the genetics studies in regards to my family history, in regards to my personal genetics. It is something I inherited. Like it's an uphill battle. So if I don't take my high blood pressure pills, I could literally have a stroke. I could, my heart rate's going to be uncontrollable. I could have a heart attack. I have to take it, until I find a way to manage it a more healthier route. Like, and it's not because I'm a bad person or because I'm doing something that God doesn't want me to do, so He doesn't want to heal me. It's because we are in imperfect bodies. We are not in our perfect glorified bodies that we're going to get in the afterlife. We are, in my opinion, we are in these imperfect bodies that we inherited from the fall, from Adam and Eve, and we have health issues. We don't have everlasting life. We all have an expiration date. Our bodies are gonna fail us. We don't have the body that we were born into. We can't eat whatever we want to when we're 50, the same way we did when we were 15. Like, there's so many different things that we have to do to take care of our physical body. So it's the same thing when it comes to mental health. We can't put everything on God and say, heal us and deliver us. It's all on you, God. Now, the same thing goes for, we can't go around and eat crap diet, pump our veins full of cholesterol, just eat cheese fries and ribs and fried chicken and whatever we want if we have issues with cholesterol, and then ask God to deliver us from that and I have faith in the Lord. He's going to deliver me from this high cholesterol. I'm going to eat all this crap anyway because I have faith in God. No. So what I'm saying is, and what I'm saying all this for, is we have to do part of the work, and God will, I want to say, meet us halfway. I do believe that God helps us out, and I do believe God can deliver some certain things. But when it comes to these fallen bodies that we have to live in until our time is up, we have a lot of work to do. And that's the same thing when it comes to mental health. So if you have past traumas from your childhood that you've never resolved, you've never gone to therapy, I'm not telling you to go take a bunch of Xanax. Don't do that. Or like put more band-aids on your wounds. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if you have unresolved traumas from childhood, maybe you should go see a therapist. Maybe you should go peel back that onion and go back into childhood and discuss those things. Get those things out and talk through it and walk through it and take those wounds that you've developed from those traumas and expose them and confront them and work through them so that you can heal them properly. Just, slapping some band-aids over some gangrene and proceeding on with your life like things never happened to you in your past is not healing. And then saying, oh, I pray to be delivered, or I pray for God to help me, or I pray for God to just burn the images out of my mind and act like it never happened. That's not healing. That's denial. That's compartmentalization. That's disassociation. Actually, people can develop multiple personalities by doing that, and develop more mental disorders by doing that. So there's a healthy way to deal with your past traumas, and there's an unhealthy way to deal with past traumas. Now, if you don't deal with your past traumas, okay, so you're walking around an unhealed soul, and this was me at one point in my life because I didn't know any of this. I didn't know any of this. When you're growing up in an area like I did, in an area of Tampa, nobody's talking about mental health. Nobody's thinking about mental health. We're thinking about surviving where I grew up. Where are we going to get our next meal from? That's the kind of neighborhood I grew up in. I did not grow up with privilege. Okay. So we didn't have access to counselors. Well, maybe in school, but this is what we were thinking about. What are we going to eat for dinner tonight? Is it going to be rice again? Is it going to be potatoes again, like another chicken thigh. I don't ever want to see another chicken thigh in my life, by the way. But I digress. So what I'm saying is, what happens is, as an adult, you are an unhealed person walking around with all these core wounds packed up. You know that song Bag Lady, Erykah Badu, honey? That was my theme song. Bag Lady, you gonna hurt your back dragging all those bags like that. I was hurting my back back in the day, but I thought I was doing fine because I wasn't crying. I literally probably was to the point where I was disassociated from my past, and I thought I'm successful, I'm smart. I owned my own home when I was very young, taking care of my kids. I was very independent, which is a trauma response, by the way, extremely independent. I thought I was doing good, but I was carrying around all those bags. I was the bag lady. That's what led me into the marriage with the narcissist. So you really got to see what path you took and what led you into this toxic relationship, right? Well, I said all that to say, with this situation, if we look at this case study, which is what I'm viewing this as for us here, a case study. I'm not talking about this to Danaya Jackson and Derrick Jackson to gossip. Looking at this as a case study. If you look at her, she has past trauma that was unhealed. She's walking around with these core wounds. She's a wounded soldier, okay? She's a wounded soldier on the battleground. Well, if you have a predator on the same battleground, a predator, now we're not talking about somebody that's whole and somebody that wants to look for someone else that's whole. We're talking about a predator. Who are they going to go after? Are they going to go after the people that are whole, that can go to combat with him, like in a, that are prepared and fully healed and ready to go to combat? Or are they going to prey on the wounded soldier? Okay, so think about this. If you are wounded, like if you have, let's say you sprained your ankle. You're training for a marathon, but you sprained your ankle, and now you have to run that 10K. You're wounded. So how are you going to perform successfully in that 10K when you're running on a sprained ankle? Well, that's what's happening when you're walking around with all these core wounds, and you think that you're just going to jump into a relationship with your sprained ankle and you're going to run that marathon successfully. But you're limping. You're limping to the finish line because you didn't address that wound. You didn't heal that wound. The doctor didn't take you out of the game and say, we need to put your leg up. We need to address this wound. We need to put it on ice. You can't walk for 6 weeks. We need to properly heal that ankle before you can get in that race. You didn't do that because you were in a rush to get through that 10K and get to that finish line. But guess what? You either never made it to the finish line, or you made it to the finish line last, or you made it to the finish line further damaged because you were running on a sprained ankle. Am I making sense? Am I getting through? So we have to heal and address our wounds before we get in that race. You have to do that before you jump into a marriage. Even before you jump into a relationship. People don't do that, though. That's why 50% of the population has an unhealthy attachment style that are running around in relationships right now. And only half of the population has a secure attachment style. Those are the relationships that are most likely going to last. The 50% of the population, what's our divorce rate? Doesn't that kind of coincide with what the divorce rate is? We have a major problem, Houston. I'm trying to drop some pearls on you guys. All right. Now, let's examine what's happened here. So she got into the race with her wounded ankle, or she got onto that battleground as a wounded soldier, and she got plucked out by that narcissist predator. Okay. Excuse me. Then she goes through 14 or 12 years, over a decade. of narcissistic abuse. Now, your brain is silly putty, honey. When you go through that much narcissistic abuse, and like I said, I don't even know if there was physical abuse involved. That's all alleged. But we're just talking strictly on the mental abuse that we know she endured. Just the cheating alone puts a person through mental abuse. But the narcissistic manipulation and so forth is mental abuse, okay? Let's just get that straight. She went through 14 years of that, turned her mind into silly putty. Turned her mind into silly putty. So she's in a fog. She's in a fog. To this day, she's in a fog. When you look at her Instagram videos that she's been making, she talks in a monotone voice. It's all scripture. Okay, great. You want everyone to think you've been delivered. She's dressed for war with her beret and her army fatigues on. Actually, that put me in the mind of, if I don't know if you guys, anybody on here has heard of Sister Sharon. She had a channel called Motivating You to Win, and now it's Never Give Up, Never Quit. Now she is, I'm not even sure, she's a Christian YouTuber who left organized religion. So I don't even think she goes to any church or anything now, but she preaches on YouTube. And it's funny because when I looked at these videos that Danaya is putting out, she kind of talks in the same inflection, like using the same voice inflections that Sister Sharon does, although Sister Sharon is a little bit more animated, just a teensy bit. And Danaya is a little bit more robotic and monotone, but she kind of uses the same stressors on her words. It's very eerie. And the way she was dressed with the fatigues and the beret. Also, Sister Sharon, preaches a lot about vanity with the hair and the makeup and dressing down, and women should only have like one pair of shoes and things like that. And that seems to be kind of like the mind frame that Danae is in. So I don't know if she's watching her right now, or maybe someone like her getting Christian guidance. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see, because I could see that's who I popped in my mind when I saw her videos. But what's happened is, after all those years of narcissistic abuse, it's left her kind of in a highly suggestible state, like a hypnotic trance, because it leaves you like in a brain fog. So she could like hop on YouTube with whatever she has, whatever she's searching for, like forgiveness, or she's searching for ways to soothe, to self-soothe out of the situation, and she's finding different people to follow, and she's in a highly suggestible state. So I could see something like that happening right now with the religion thing, because she wasn't always like that. If you go further back on her Instagram, you could see a trajectory to where she was more worldly before, and we all make that transition, right? I mean, I used to be in the world and then made my way more towards a Christian life, but you could see the transition until recently. It's totally over the edge, all scriptures and so forth and so on. Well, the church, this is the interesting part, the church that Derrick Jackson and her are attending is a very strange church. It's a non-denominational, like, deliverance ministry based in New York called Ed Citronelli Ministries. So they do those types of deliverances, like you see if you fall asleep in the middle of the night with BET on and you wake up at 3 a.m, they're like splashing holy water on people, screaming and like asking people to buy their prayer cloths, like one of those kind of churches. So I kind of like perused some of their gallery on YouTube, and I saw the video where Derrick and her were in the service. So they are in the, I don't know if they attend regularly, but I did see where they were in attendance at that church and people are falling out, getting delivered. And this pastor is like spraying people with holy water, spraying their private parts, trying to get the sex demons out of them and spraying them and like hitting them in the head and making them fall back and holding them down because all the demons are coming out, like one of those kind of deliverance ministries. Now I have my whole feeling on that. I think that's a little over the top. I think that's a sensational I have my thoughts about that type of ministry. I do believe in deliverance, but not like that. I believe that's a private matter. And I don't believe it's done by taking a spray bottle and like spraying people private parts and like slapping them in the forehead and like slapping them down and slapping the demons out of them. It was like off for show. It was bizarre. Go look at the YouTube channel, Ed Citronelli Ministries. Very questionable. But when you're in a highly suggestible state, you might think all of that is a really good idea. And that's how you're going to get your deliverance. And that's how, that's the direction you need to be going in. And that is going to deliver your husband from his sex demons. I don't know what to say about all this. What I did want to say, though, I've already said, is there's a balance between mental health and our belief systems. And we have to, God helps those that help themselves. We have to put in some work. That's what I wanted to say. And we need to take the stigma out of getting help when we need help. If we are spiraling, if we're going into psychosis, which I'm scared that sister's headed down that path. I'm scared that she's going to have a psychotic break. I really am. I've seen it happen to people before. I have in real life. And I'm scared that she's going down that path if something isn't done soon. And I'm not saying it's her fault. Not, absolutely not. I'm saying she's a victim of chronic abuse. And none of this is surprising. But she can't just depend on Ed Citronelli Ministries to deliver her from years of trauma and her core wounds that have never been healed. And a husband that just can't stop cheating, who's standing there in those ministries with her and clearly is not getting delivered. There's a balance. So I just want to say that there's a balance, and it's okay to use the medical industry when we, for certain things. It's not all evil. Now, I do believe some meds are evil. Like some of them, you watch a television show and you'll see them pop up with all these lawsuits. I mean, I'm not saying to like go over medicate yourself or anything like that. I mean, you want to do your due diligence. You don't want to just go take 20 pills or anything. I'm not saying that, so don't put those words in my mouth. What I'm saying is there's balance. What I'm saying is it's okay to get therapy. What I'm saying is if you don't believe in meds, go talk it out with your therapist. It's okay. Or go talk to a therapist that's in your church. Go talk to someone. Go on a healing journey, okay? And in some cases, it might be necessary to get medication. It might. And don't feel bad if it comes down to that, because like I said, a diabetic that needs insulin should take his insulin. Would you want that person to lose their limbs? Well, do you want to see a person lose their mind? Maybe they need that help. Let's just take the stigma out of needing help for your mental health, is what I wanted to say, especially for us Christians. I hope that made sense. I know I get rambly, But I just wanted to jump in and say that. Let me know what you think. Like always, comment below. Like, comment, subscribe, share. I'll be back with another topic soon. Time for me to, my lunch is over. Time to get back to work. I'll talk to you later. Bye.